Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Collective Clicks podcast. This is your host, Brandon Bateman, and today I'm joined by Steven Howell. We're going to talk all about DealMachine and some different marketing strategies that you can do there that integrate well with other inbound marketing channels that you're doing. I'll see you there.
Brandon.
Welcome to the podcast. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Brandon. Thanks for having me here today.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you here. I'm excited to learn some of the things that you've learned and sharing some of the experience that you've had. So for anybody listening to this that doesn't know who you are already, if you wouldn't mind just share who you are, some quick background of like what you've done and what life experiences led you to this point, and then we can dive into it.
Yeah, absolutely, Brandon. Well, thanks for having me here. So a little bit about my background. I've been in the real estate full time since 2011. And so that was a year I got married to my beautiful wife. We have two kiddos now, 8 and 6. So our household is busy and fun and all of that. But the real estate journey, so I've been doing it for 15 years. And the first couple of years, I'm here in Dayton, Ohio. And so at the time I was living in Northern Kentucky, I ran acquisitions virtually in the Columbus market for 2 years. And so my background is in direct mail, cold calling. I really hyper focused on the probate niche. And also, I have over the last 12 years also coached a lot of investors through that probate strategy, particularly, and help them to do deals all over the country. So, kind of seeing how this operates in different markets. And so presently I am head of new partners at DealMachine. And so I just have a passion, Brandon, about, kind of taking in the trenches of running a house business all these years and just, helping not only my own business, but others to be more efficient with the marketing and ad spend and things like that they're already doing.
Cool. I am curious, Stephen, why Deal Machine? You could have done probably a whole bunch of different things, like at this point of your career. What brought you there?
Yeah, so I absolutely love the team. So David Lecco and Matt Camp have a relationship with them, and I have been an affiliate of theirs for a long time, and that's just simply because I love the tool, and I started using it like, okay, I did a little bit of driving for dollars, but then as that tool evolved and you could start building lists and doing the click to mail and using their dialer, and then when they started releasing like all of the data that is already skip traced just a few years back, I'm like, man, they just keep improving this tool. And so I've just stayed connected to the team and really love just their iteration with the technology. And so there was just a great opportunity to kind of link arms, and so that's what led me there.
Yeah, cool. Um, I will say from my experience, Deal Machine today and Deal Machine like 5 years ago are different companies practically. Like it's like if you haven't looked at the product in a minute, it's changed a lot. I'd say for the better. And it's not like the old product is bad, but like in terms of Deal Machine seems to have become as much a data company as it is a driving for dollars company, or as it used to just be like driving for dollars and that was it. And really interesting plans of data and stuff like that. So yeah, I do think that's cool. I have a lot of respect for you guys and what you've been doing. I am going to give you the stage now, Stephen. I'll ask you a sort of uncomfortable question. I want to know what your hot take is on what real estate investors aren't doing right. This is based on like your individual experience. You'd say 9 out of 10 real estate investors, they're leaving money on the table. Where is it that they're leaving money on the table?
Yeah, I think that's such a good question, Brandon. I appreciate that so much. So I think they're leaving on the table by when they're going into different marketing strategies, not capitalizing where they're already doing things. So, we have people that obviously with Bateman that are doing SEO and doing PPC and doing these mature and awesome marketing channels. And so just and folks that I've talked with, there's just a great, I think, opportunity to really hone in and maximize the leads that are already coming in as kind of a force multiplier of like, okay, we're making this investment in doing inbound leads, which I think is such. I love to see over the last handful of years how the industry has really kind of embraced like, hey, like we need to have powerful inbound marketing channels. That is such a healthy piece of this business. And you're right, with DealMachine, we used
Mhm.
to, just be kind of the driving for dollars app. At least that's what we've, been known for. And I think it's so helpful to have inbound marketing. And so what I mean by like force multiplier is just thinking outside the box of like, okay, when these leads are coming in and we're buying property in these neighborhoods, one like kind of use case is like micro targeting to say, okay, with these 20 records that we've got this month, or these 20 opportunities that have come in inbound, or these 5 opportunities, have we gone out, so for example, and door knocked those properties, or have we set a net of a 3 block radius, a 5 block radius, and we can say, okay, since these inbound leads have more of a higher conversion rate, and we know speed to leads, speed to contact with these records is quick, and we're getting those deals under contract quickly. Can we also potentially drop some postcards or make some calls to that net of micro targeting to say, hey, we're already buying a house in the neighborhood and we wanted to see if you were interested in a cash offer. This home is very similar to the house we're buying over here on Brentwood Avenue. And so things like that, to say, what are we already doing and how can we just layer on a strategy like that to enhance what we're already doing. So I would say Brandon, that would probably be one of the number one areas to just, and it's so easy because it's so easy to not do those things because we have our typical processes that we're running through.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can tell you I had an experience. I was talking to a client recently, and this is just one of those like go-getter people that is like at this point like solo operator. He's just out there like
Yeah.
slinging deals himself. And you're like, this guy's going places, right? Because he's bringing like the right attitude to the table and stuff. We're doing some Facebook ads for him, and he gets this lead. And we're going through it in the reporting call. We're like, okay, well, tell us what happened. He's like, well, this one became a contract, and I think I'll make this much money. It's like, okay, awesome. He's like, yeah, I also got these 2 other contracts from that one. And I'm like, okay, well, tell me how the heck that happens. And he's like, well, I headed into the house, see the neighbor, talk to them. Like, we're gonna buy that one too. And then also like, after that, I was like, let's go take a walk around the neighborhood. Anyways, the guy like through like networking in this neighborhood basically like gets 3 contracts from the one lead that came in. And I thought it was wild, right? And yeah, those stories, you don't hear them very much, but as I hear you talking, it makes me wonder, how much is there to that as a strategy as a whole? Could people be doing a lot more of that? And it sounds like so the reason tell me the reason you brought this specific strategy idea to the table. Is this something you've done before? Is it something that a lot of deal machine clients are doing?
Yeah, it's something that we do see more and more deal machine clients doing that are involved in more inbound mature marketing channels, and I just feel there is in the different success stories that we've seen and case studies that like there is a sweet spot here, exactly like you said, like. So we host a masterclass call every Wednesday for our, and I believe you're coming out on that soon, which we're so excited to have you on that, where we're sharing wins and we bring out a guest speaker, and so we're hearing more and more folks that are doing the inbound stuff, but they're also layering it with exactly what you're talking about, like, hey, of the X amount of inbound leads, I got 10 inbound leads this month, or 7 or 13 or whatever. Can I go put a sticky note? Can I, utilize a tool like DealMachine or whatever to say, hey, I want to drive these 13 properties. I want to go put a sticky note. What's the most optimal way to drive these properties? And then while I'm there, like, let me do the whole either walking for dollars or driving for dollars, like just in that vicinity. And then for the older, SEO leads or Facebook leads that don't close right away. What am I doing, to follow up with those folks? Like click to call, click to mail, like just making it simple and making it easy. So that I just hear that more and more, and I'm like, I really think there's something here. And just even hearing the story that you shared, I'm like, what if there was like just a process, that people start implementing, where it's like, hey, every inbound lead that's coming in, we're going to go put a door hanger on, we're going to do a 3 block radius, 5 block radius, and we're going to take an extra 10-15 minutes to drive those few blocks, pin a couple of properties that maybe look distressed or are in your buy box, and we're going to send them a postcard, and we're also going to call them, and that type of thing. And if that's done for every lead, if somebody's getting 7 leads a month, 13 leads a month, over the course of a quarter, over the course of a year, the impact that would have. And so I really think there's something there to just multiply on the leads that are already coming in. So
Yeah, yeah, I can tell you one other thing that's kind of similar to that some of our clients have figured out is basically the idea of, hey, if we're going to an appointment there, what other inbound leads have we gotten in the past that are in that area that we could go knock on their door, check up on? Like, can you knock on someone's door to follow up all the time with leads? Like, no, but if you're in the neighborhood, is it that much harder to just walk over to the house than it is to call them? Like, no, and it's actually like way worth it if you can figure those things out, if you can organize your data in the right ways. That's another thing that some of our clients are doing, which is smart. Like, you'd be surprised. We have some clients with inbound leads that have come in through PPC where they're just kind of marked as like, oh, probably not good, never responded to us or something. Then you show up, you knock on the door, and this person's like a distressed seller that really needs to talk to you right then. And
oh,
it's crazy like how many of these leads that just are unresponsive that are actually like really good leads that just don't answer their phone. That's part of what gets people in these situations where
exactly.
they end up being a distressed seller, like it's the exact character trait often that contributes to like foreclosure, bankruptcy, like a lot of these points.
1,000%, 1,000%, Brandon. What are some trends you're seeing, in present day in 2026, on the PPC side, on the SEO side, that you would say is just a shift that you've seen in the last handful of months? I'm just curious.
Oh goodness, it's a lot of it changes. One big thing that we always keep an eye on is seasonality. And I'm sure you guys see this. I'm curious what your take is on it for all marketing channels. PPC has that too. So what happens is Q3 is always the lowest cost per contract on PPC, followed by Q2, a little bit higher, followed by Q1, a little bit higher, and then Q4 is the worst. And the reason is Q4, the number of people searching to sell their house goes down, and then it goes up in Q1, and then it goes up again in Q2, and then up again in Q3, and then Q4 again it goes down, right? So what we're seeing is like we're kind of building out these marketing strategies for clients now, and we're starting to look like really holistically at the entire year. Like, what outcome do we need to produce in this year, and how do we allocate our budget throughout the year in order to get there? Because what happens to a lot of real estate investors is they over they count a little too much on the final quarter of the year to bring them home for their yearly goals.
Yeah.
When the reality is a lot of our most successful clients, they're basically running a 3-quarter year where it's like, I've got to get like all the profit that we're going to get as a business in like quarter one, quarter two, quarter three. Q4, what's going to happen probably is that you basically have two options with a lot of marketing channels in Q4. You've got the option of, well, we're going to spend aggressively so we can maintain deal volume. And what that means is just like our profit gets eaten away by the fact that we're spending more money on these marketing channels. Or you see the option where it's like, oh, okay, I got to peel back a little bit because the marketing is not producing as much, which actually makes you get hit really hard on deal volume. But that's not a big deal if you're like a solo operator or something like that. If you got a team, then usually you fall a little bit more in the camp of like, we got to spend the money. Like, even if we don't make as much money or have as great of a return on investment, we got to keep the deals coming in. And a lot of people kind of cut it somewhere in between. But as far as profitability goes, that's what a lot of businesses are doing. They're basically running a 3-quarter year. So we're helping our clients kind of map that out. We've got all kinds of like predictions of how the diminishing returns are going to change over the course of the year. And the reality is the amount of budget you can pull off spending successfully in Q3 is going to be a bigger number than what you can do in Q1. And that's going to be a bigger number than what you could do in Q4. So we're kind of building out that like whole yearly plan to make sure we don't get behind on those yearly targets. So that's like top of mind what's going on right now.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, what wise to kind of think about, okay, like with the different trends and just real data. And a lot of people are like, well, that doesn't exist, or if you just try harder, but it's like really looking at the data of the trends, quarter to quarter, and being realistic about that. So I love that you guys are doing that approach.
Yeah, the way I view it is like plan for the average scenario
Hmm.
and hope for the best and work for the best. Like I'm not saying just like lay down and say Q4 is going to suck, like because the
Sure.
reality is many of our clients actually get better results in Q4, like especially if a lot of your competition drops out and stuff. But we know on average, you're going to close leads at about 18% lower rate, and you're going to pay about 20% more for leads. That's just
Hmm.
that's just what happens on average, right? So it's you don't want to be delusional, right? You kind of want to plan for like this is what happens on average. Of course, that doesn't mean we lay down and say like just whatever comes. Like no, it's we've got to work hard, and we got to do everything we can to reverse that trend. And all the people who do that tend to average about 20% less leads and about 18% lower close rate on those leads. So that's how it works out. I'm curious for you guys, like when you look at like this year right now, and also uh, I'm curious on a few different lenses. Like one, I always want to know like what's in the pipe. Like what's
Yeah.
what do you think is like around that next corner? And how are you guys preparing for that? How are you preparing to support your clients through that? And then the other side is like, what are you guys seeing right now? I imagine you have actually like an incredible opportunity just having access to so much data across so many businesses that are using Deal Machine, that you can kind of pick up on a lot of the trends of what's happening that other people just would at most know anecdotally. Like this is what's happening in my business, but that's that's not usually what's happening to other people too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, we're seeing a handful of things. One that's interesting and trends that we are, excuse me, passionate about, like leaning into is just like how are we incorporating AI, and like what does that look like from a perspective. So we're keeping a very close eye on that, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But another area is mail. We're seeing, just kind of I know there was a dip a little bit, with companies' mail and the increased mail costs and things like that. But as people are doing the mature inbound strategies, but also that kind of proactive, so how can we supplement that with those strategies to help some of those months even out a little bit and have that proactive push as well. And so we are still seeing a great amount of people like do some of that, kind of, but strategic in ways that I was sharing earlier, that extra, outreach or driving for dollars, but just not as their main strategy, but when they're getting these inbound leads to go like, all right, like let me create a route of all the inbound leads I've had in the last 6 months, and let me do a door knocking or a door hanger campaign, and then let me cast that net around there, and let me, have somebody drive those neighborhoods. And so to give you an idea of like what we're doing, on the AI front, that's something we're leaning into postcards, and we're also leaning into AI pretty heavy. And so when you go into like Deal Machine, for example, and you have your typical like drive for dollars in the app, or you type in a zip code or a county, or you can also upload all your inbound leads that you've gotten through PPC, through Bateman or SEO, and kind of have a radius, a map there, and say, okay, here's where these properties were, and you draw a radius. So you can go in there and virtually drive for dollars and say, okay, we're going to drive this route. But we also have what we call an AI vision builder. So it'll go in there and there's pre-selected categories, almost like if you're doing a chat GPT prompt or a Gemini prompt, and say, hey, my goal is not wholesaling. It's adding, these type of properties that have, maybe if you're in Florida, there's a green pool, and the pool is green, or there's a blue tarp on the roof, or a certain feature about the property. And so you can say, I want to categorize properties based off of like that are distressed, or that would be good for wholesale, or that would meet this certain buy box. and it would go in there for just a few dollars and drive those properties within 5 minutes and cross-reference Google Street View images and also Google satellite images. And so that's more of like if you're having a broader list and you want to say, okay, out of these 700 properties or out of these 1,000 properties, like I really want to market strategically to the best of the best. And it'll narrow it down to 62 or 110 or 37. So that's just a quick little way of like, okay, out of all these properties, either, especially if it's smaller, like the leads that they've gotten from Bateman, the inbound leads that are so highly sought after, like let's look at all the leads I've gotten in the last 3 months and 6 months and create a route that's drivable, that's the most efficient route so I can do door hangers. But then if you're building other lists, that type of thing. Another way that we've utilized AI is the dialer. And so I know, like myself, I am introverted. I can be a little introverted and extroverted, but I remember just the hundreds of clients I worked with. One of the things I'm super passionate about is just like still being able to get results in this business, even if you're introverted, even if you're nervous, even if you're like, I don't, I'm still, learning what to say and all those things. So we have on the dialer created an AI assistant where it's tracking the call with you and it's giving you the prompting, it's following along the conversation, marking the lead, warm, hot, transcribing the call, giving you phrase by phrase exactly what to say in the next step of the sales process. And so things like that are things that we've been leading into to say, okay, and then even just having AI help create new creative postcards and things like that. So I would say AI is something that is, we're keeping a very close pulse on and are constantly trying to iterate to say, how can we take processes that we're already doing and just make them more efficient, from a marketing perspective. So those would be a couple things that come to mind immediately, Brandon.
Yeah, that is really cool. Especially the AI driving for dollars thing. Like, fantastic use of like AI technology to basically replace like stuff that was. I mean, you used to have to pay people to like drive around and see all the houses themselves. It's crazy that you can do that, especially with like the satellite view, which is going to be a little bit more recent. So yeah,
Exactly.
that's super cool, Stephen. Thank you for coming on here and sharing some of your thoughts of some different ideas, what we could be doing more in marketing for the real estate investing space. Um, Before we wrap up, is there anything else that you'd like to share? Anything else that you think is going to be valuable for those listening?
Yeah, well, first off, I also thank you for having me on here. It's been a ton of fun. We love what you guys are doing at Bateman. So I just want to say, like, the masterminds we're in, whether we're in Collective Genius or all the various masterminds we're in, we just consistently hear people over and over and over talking about Bateman as the go-to provider. So thank you for just being that steady voice in this industry and providing amazing service for folks. We hear that and just want you guys to know that. So like the value and what you guys are bringing to your audience and community and just how you truly take care of people and are real with people, we love that. And so yeah, any of your users who want to utilize DealMachine, we have a special link with you guys where it's dealmachine.com/Bateman. And so we want to offer a free 7-day trial that comes with also unlimited skip tracing. So you can upload all the inbound leads that you've gotten from Bateman. You can upload them right into DealMachine, and it automatically skip trace the amount of data and property data and also homeowner data that it has from each of those records. You'll be able to utilize and just be able, you can export that data if you do texting or other types of outreach. But right in there, you can also build that drivable and say, hey, I want to go put a sticky note, or I want a door knock or door hanger, all of these properties that we've gotten inbound records, or we want to do that micro net strategy, micro targeting, where we want to drive the neighborhood of each of those properties. And so they'll also be able to do 500 minutes on the AI powered dialer where they have the AI prompting right there with them, or if they want to test like of all the leads they have in their system, let's have AI drive them and see which are still the most distressed and still haven't sold. And then they're able to click to mail and they get 50 free postcards as well. So just one thing that we thought is a cool give back for your audience to say, hey, so if you go to dealmachine.com/Bateman, we have a special deal for your audience, Brandon, where they can test all that out for 7 days, upload their data in there, get all that free skip tracing, use the dialer and the mail. And we'd love to hear some, case studies or testimonials of people who are like, hey, I was listening to that podcast with Steven and Brandon, and we did that micro targeting strategy and got a couple of extra deals. We'd love nothing more to hear that. And then we're also super excited to have you out on our masterclass to talk about what you guys are doing, because again, we're just so excited having that premium inbound strategy. Those leads are such a critical piece to the business, and just love how you guys do that so well.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you, Stephen. Thank you for everything that you said there. I will say, like, if anybody's listening to this, that's a pretty good deal. Because here's the thing: when you try something new, you try a new strategy, you don't know that it's going to work. DealMachine is as one of the few companies that's basically making it so easy for you to give it a shot that it's kind of a no-brainer just to see, like, will this make an impact for me or will it not? And like have a relatively low, like, take you a little bit of time to set it all up and test it and everything. You got to go throw the door hangers on, or have, of course, someone on your team do it. Whatever it is, like, it's, there's no such thing as a free lunch. But as far as like an easy way to test something new that could drastically improve your business, it doesn't get much better than that. So I encourage you to go take a look at that link. Thank you, Stephen, for all the wisdom that you shared today on the podcast. And for everybody else listening, I will see you next week.